And I'm not really sure if that is helpful. I don't see the benefit really of doing that, except for one thing. I appreciate the people that I met on my journey. I can't throw that out. I've met some amazing people. And without that experience of having to move from place to place, then, some people I still may have crossed paths with in life because that's how life goes. Or I may have never seen them, but some of the relationships that I built along that journey were priceless. Some people I'm still, close to now. So on that end, I appreciate it. But I will say, like, holistically, that was really hard on families. That was really hard on pastors. My father wants to be like, everything to everybody. So he wants to be like in uh one church one weekend, the second church the next weekend, one church on Wednesday night, one church on Tuesday night, alternate between the three when he had three churches. I don't even understand how somebody can effectively have three and four churches. Whoever is coming up with that idea or thinks that that is a good idea, that is a bad idea. That is a bad idea. You are draining down pastors. You are leaving people with nothing as far as a consistent leadership in their church that is difficult to maintain. And to ask somebody to maintain that, that is like, why would you even be asking anybody for anything like that? I spoke about this a while ago because my dad had one experience. I think he's had three or four churches, maybe two or three times. And my call is like, what in the world are they thinking about? Like, why would you even do that? Why would you even ask somebody for something like that? And the last situation was when they moved him to Oklahoma again. Now we had already been in Oklahoma like years ago. Before I went to college, we was in Oklahoma, and that was great. My experience was fine. Some of my best friends in the world are from there, and so that part was fine. But then you asked him to come back to Oklahoma after my mother had a stroke. My mother had a stroke that like paralyzed her from the neck down, and that was completely earth shattering while we're still trying to maintain like everything. Life is still moving because life don't stop. Life doesn't stop when somebody dies. Life doesn't stop when somebody gets sick. People try to do what they can, but people's lives are still going. So when she had a stroke, it was just like, okay, we're still trying to go and preach at church and all this. And they're like, okay, well, let's move him back because he was in preaching in Louisiana. Let him move him back here to Texas because this is where his home is. And then so they put him as an associate pastor to a pastor, Pastor Thompson in Fort Worth, which, hey, kudos. Whoever thought of that idea said, I care. Y'all, God is still working on me. I still care about what's going on in your life. So, yes, we'll put you as an associate pastor up the street from your home. So, I don't know who came up with that. I don't know whose idea that was, but thank you for that. Because then whoever turned around and was like, well, hey, let's send you to Oklahoma. That's 3 hours away from your home at 70 years old. I'm just trying to figure out how that makes sense. How does that say we love you? We appreciate the investments that you've made in the lives of the people and spreading the gospel of God, for showing the love of Jesus to people. This is how we repay you, is when you turn 70, we're going to send you 3 hours away from your home while we know your wife just had a stroke. Um, so my response to that was, this is some BS. And dad is like, Oh, baby, it is okay. I've been out there before. Those are some good people. They're going to look out for me. It's going to be all right. You know, such and such said they're going to help me drive sometimes out there. It is all good. It is, it was just nothing but positive, positive stuff to say about the situation. I'm just like, Dad, please, like you tripping. I ain't tripping. You are tripping because this is not okay. Okay, so, fast forward, I still see the same type of stuff going on. Like after a year of him doing that, he was like, okay, I'm about to retire. Because daddy was like, I ain't about to retire for what? I'm enjoying preaching and, I'm still alive. So, he ain't trying to retire. So he's like, I'm not retiring. But it feels like after that year of sending him out for a year, that just did so much on him. Like he was driving 3 hours, riding sometimes, driving sometimes back for who helped him to drive. Thank you so much. I think I've told you that before and you know who you are, but thank you for doing that for him. Because I couldn't at the time. I have a daughter who is diabetic. A month after my mother, no, I'm sorry, 6 months after my mother had her stroke, my 2-year-old daughter at the time, she was about to be 2, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So, my dad needed somebody to watch my mother while he went to go preach. I needed to be with my daughter who was still trying to get used to getting insulin shots at 2 years old 4 times a day. So I couldn't drive with daddy out there, or I would have been driving with him out there because if he got to do it, I don't mind riding with you. But daddy needed me here and I needed to be here for my daughter. So I couldn't do it. So for the people who did help him, thank you again. But for the person who thought that that was a good idea to do that, that does not show love to me. That does not show that we are going to care about you when it matters the most. My parents had insurance at Venice Risk Management for years, for forever. I don't even remember them not having it, but I'm sure at some point they didn't. But when my mother got sick, it was like, yeah, we're going to take care of her for a few months. But then it was like, well, no, she's not ever going to do any better. So we ain't doing nothing. Like, what? We've been paying for this for years and years and years and years. And my parents were not sickly people. Like dad, when he died from cancer, it was like he was sick like a month and a half and died. Because before then, I had never seen my father sick. And he ain't never missed a day of church on Sabbath. Never. And I can say that 100% never in my life have I ever seen him miss. He was at somebody's church. If it wasn't his church, he was at somebody's church every single Saturday for my entire life. Like, who does that? Who does that? Do people do that for real? Every single Saturday? I mean, I'm just saying that to make the point of the dedication. But then when I need you, when stuff when stuff hits the fan, it's like, we're gonna kind of show like we kind of sort of care. But yeah, no, this is a business. And that's not gonna make us no money, putting no money out for somebody who we feel like ain't gonna recover, which that don't even show no kind of faith. But we're not even gonna go on that conversation right there. That's a conversation for a different day. But the love was not there. And my expectations is too high. Because I'm thinking all this time, all this investment, because it was investment in the church. The Adventist church was my parents' life, period, point blank, period. Putting everything else on hold. Everything else that you could be doing with your life or could be doing somewhere else, they put that completely on hold to make sure that they was doing their best to make sure they were promoting the gospel and doing what they felt like God had called them to be doing in life. And that forever, I respect that so much. But what I don't want to happen is for people to continue to do the same things and make the same decisions and treat people the same ways and think that that stuff is okay, because it's not. So if you're doing it, please don't. God said the greatest commandment is that we love one another, and love is an action word. So if you love people, you're going to treat them a certain kind of way. This goes for pastors, this goes for members, this goes for their children. I didn't talk to people for a year and a half, 2 years maybe, after my father passed away. Like, there was one pastor who ain't even in my area, who I almost didn't know he was a pastor, called me to be like, how are you doing? I know your parents died a month apart, and I just wanted to check to see, like, how is your health? How are you feeling? And that ain't even for me. That's like for anybody. That's for me because I'm in this situation. And I was like, I hope that if this is how things are going with me, I hope this ain't how everybody is being treated, because, like, damn, what? People are going through real things in real life, in real time. So us just showing up for church so that we can look good at each other, congratulate each other for making it through the week, and talk about things that people have heard before already is not enough. We have to do better than that. People need people to do better than that. People don't even have faith no more. People like clown this man who came, this pastor, Dr. Lane, been keeping up with me since my parents passed. They disrespected this man at my father's funeral. Told him to get out while he was up there speaking. I don't care what somebody is talking about for real, unless they're trying to bring in the devil. It don't matter what somebody is saying at somebody's funeral. I've been to some funerals and heard people say all kind of stuff up there. But I ain't never seen nobody get up there and ask a minister to please get out because you don't like what he's saying. Now, when he's lying, then I got issues. But he was not lying. And that's even beside the point, is that this is a funeral and it ain't about you. It was not about really so much the pastors and how they feel and your feelings right now. And he's insulting us, or he's telling us stuff we don't want to hear or we don't agree with. There's been so many pastors who got up on a pulpit and said stuff that wasn't true, that people don't agree with. Who has ever got up there and told somebody to get out? That has never happened. I have never seen that. Please, somebody show me where. That has never happened, ever. So not only were you willing to disrespect the person that we chose to help lay my father to rest, you disrespected my father. That, to me, shows just how much you respected him in life. And these things have to be said. Because I know he is not the only one. He's the only one I've ever heard of somebody going through a situation like that before, where you would actually ask a minister to come to get off, not just to get off the stage, you ask him to leave the church. Like, there's been ministers who've come and said all kind of stuff on the pulpit of a church that be bald-faced lying. And I ain't never seen no bishop, preacher, minister, none of that go up and ask another one to get out. Especially somebody like Oscar Lane, like, who has given so much of his life to God and spreading the word and working for the Adventist church. And this man, y'all don't want to give him nothing at all. But then you say that you're Christians and that you love God and you're the church that's the standard. If you're going to be the standard, you're going to have to come correct and better than this. That's not it. We can do better. And my expectations is high. When my father got sick, my expectations was high. My father got sick, and I'm thinking like, okay, we've been down this road with mom, and me and daddy were like, well, we ain't trying to have uh we talked about whether or not the doctors were going to sway our decision on how we were going to handle mom's situation, because it was up to daddy. And to me, everything that he decided, I'm going to support you. He's always supported me. My mother's always supported me. I know how they felt about each other. And whatever he decided to do, 100%, I'm in your corner. But he came and asked me, like, what did I think about what the doctors were saying? I was like, Daddy, that's up to you. I don't want to be the one. I'm not, if they asking me whether or not I'm going to pull the plug and be like, yeah, I know this is not going anywhere. That ain't going to be my call. He was like, okay, I was hoping you were going to say that. He said, because when God says it's time, and then we both said it's time. So we're on the same page. But when all that stuff is going on and we went through all that for years, that's a whole nother story for another day. But when he got sick, my mindset was just in faith mode. Like, they said she was going to die like way before she did, years before she did, right soon after she had her stroke. Like, they said she wasn't going to wake up at all, that she was never going to wake up from her having a stroke, because then she was in a coma. And that didn't end up being the truth. So when this happened to daddy, I'm like, we've been down a rocky road before spiritually, that's challenged us. But, we can do this. So I hit the faith and the consistency of the faith with my father was like, wow. Because he helped me to stay the course on faithfulness. So when he got sick, that I had to dig deep to be faithful. And I'm only getting emotional because even in those times, there were people who I thought loved me, who questioned how much I love my father and mother. And I'm not perfect. Nobody is. I was trying to do the best I could in the situation that I was in. I thought I was doing the best I could. Even now, I'm like, damn, I could have done better. There's more I could have done. Even though I felt like I was under so much pressure. I still have a husband. I have a child that's young. I have a baby that's diabetic. My mother just had a stroke, who's somebody I talk to 2 and 3 times a day. But I thought I was doing the best I can. So for the people out there who might see this, who thought I wasn't doing the best I can, I was. And I thought it was some people who knew me and wouldn't question whether or not I'm trying to kill my father. Like, my parents was everything. My life was damn near on hold because my parents was everything. My family took L's. My husband took L's because my parents was everything. And I'm looking for ministers that is going to be holding the line with faith and helping me through this. And it was a lonely road. My husband was the one. I'm thinking it's going to be people who've been in the church forever. My husband ain't been in the church forever. He had more faith than any of these people who get up on a platform and try to tell people about God. You got to be for real, because people are going through real things in life. They're going to go through real things, and ain't people who are going to have faith and who love God for real, not who is just fronting and going through the motions. That's not going to help people.